Today, we're going to reassess the topic of why do we grade sports cards, and this is going to be specifically off of the back of this Victor Wembanyama Black Prism 1 of 1 that got a PSA 10, because some of the commentary online makes me very confident that people are forgetting what grading is all about and some of the things that they're discounting with the fact that this card got a PSA 10 should be an eye-opener for a lot of you guys around where the market thinks, or where the hobby thinks the grading market actually sits. So I'll unpack all that as we go, but it's just one to keep front of mind, as I do often say. Now, it relates to this card on screen that was pulled by NorCal Sports Cards. It came back a PSA 10. When you're looking at Victor himself, this is a big card because he's somewhat seen as a generational talent. He's, getting better by the week, and whilst he does have some concerns around potential longevity and all that kind of stuff, the things we're seeing so far look quite good, but he is still, in his rookie season. So obviously the whole prospecting game is not something that I'm into, but some people are, which is why people are going crazy for this card. Now, the reason why I think this card is relevant for this topic is the centering itself. You can sort of see here, left to right, the centering is off. And whilst PSA does have 60-40 centering for their PSA 10 cards, people are sort of discounting this quite a lot. And the commentary just looks a little bit silly, in my opinion, because people will come back and say, well, how did this card get a PSA 10? Look at this centering. It looks ridiculous. Look how much bigger it is over here. And, this might fall under PSA 60-40 centering, like I just mentioned. But people are sort of saying, well, how can that get a PSA 10? And it's meant to be a big card and all that kind of stuff. But how can you actually treat it as a big card when you've got centering that looks as off as that? And whilst it's not as bad as some other, things we've seen, some other examples, that's still where your eye goes immediately when looking at it. At least that's where mine did. So you automatically think, well, that doesn't look right. How is that a 10? Even though it fits within PSA's policy. And people have come back and defended it by saying it fits within PSA's policy. And it should still command a premium regardless of that. But it just seems very, silly to me. I don't understand how that mindset has been allowed to brew and bubble along within this hobby over the last 3-4 years. Why is this sort of label being the focal point for your eyes as opposed to the card itself? Because what people are essentially saying is that this same card being in a PSA 10 is going to sell for more than what it would have if it was in a BGS 9, as an example. Because he's probably would have gone into a BGS 9 slab or lower. But it's the same card, guys. So why is that premium going to be there? And I understand it's because it's a 10, but that's the really stupid mindset that I want to try and highlight again to you all today. We've lost the mindset or the logic behind why we grade cards in the first place. They are primarily there to give us a guarantee, to give us an authentication that the card itself is genuine and that it can be, more safely, traded or sold amongst collectors. Not the fact that they're, basically saying it's a 10, so all of a sudden it's worth more because it's a 10. Like, it's just crazy. The card itself is the reason why you should be paying a premium in the first place. And if you think, the card looked like trash in a BGS 9 slab, but you've been now prepared to pay the same premium for the PSA 10, you need to have a long, hard look at yourself, in my opinion, because it makes no sense. And whilst that might be unfair to pick on, specific individuals thinking that way, because it's a widespread mindset within the hobby, it's just crazy to me. Like, why do you grade cards? I want you guys to sort of answer that for me down in the comments below. I've talked in the past about why I use CGC. You guys are probably sick of hearing that from me. You can see all my CGC slabs up there for Flawless Soccer. I grade with them because they offer a guarantee for a submitter and for the owner of the card, i.e. if you bought the card down the line. PSA don't do that, as an example. PSA only protect prospective buyers. If you're the person who sent the card in and PSA identify an issue down the line, you're not covered. So why would I want to, put money into my collection if PSA is not going to protect me from that insurance perspective, right? Yeah, technically CGC don't have to follow through on their guarantee. Yeah, PSA can make exceptions to their guarantee, but the way these companies, explain this to you on their website, they're very crystal clear in their policy. So I'm going to take the company like CGC that is explicit in saying they're going to protect you, or they've got things in place to protect you if you are the submitter or the owner of a card. CGC say nothing. BGS say nothing. PSA specifically exclude the submitter. So for stuff like that, that's the reason why I grade cards. But I want to know from you guys why you do the same. Like, if you're somebody that's sitting there and seeing labels and being PSA 10s, but you're not looking at the card yourself, you should be quite concerned, in my opinion. And I think it's become so pervasive within our hobby that it's not going to really change. That mindset is not going to change overnight. But my line of thinking was always around, well, you've got people that have been really new into card collecting over the last 3 to 4 years. The grading market has blown up so much so that we're seeing crazy amounts of money be invested and all that kind of stuff. it's basically blown up, and people have, purely focused in on the labels themselves. And my logic was, well, they're paying all this money and paying all this premium for these cards because they have PSA 10 labels or, BGS 9.5 labels, when in reality, the card on average probably doesn't meet the criteria for that grade. So what's going to happen in a few years down the line, and you're sitting there owning this card, and previously you were comfortable owning the card because it had a PSA 10, but now all of a sudden this naivety of the people coming in over the last 3 to 4 years and spending all this money isn't there anymore, and they realize, well, hang on a minute, we've paid all this money for a card that probably isn't worth it. I'm not going to pay you a premium for that PSA 10 because that card is severely off-centered, or that card has damage and all that sort of stuff. So what's going to happen if that mindset, clicks overnight? There are a lot of cards out there that shouldn't have had premiums paid for them like they have. And it should concern you if you are somebody that's going out there blindly paying for this sort of stuff. Now, clearly, if you're somebody that's, purely out there buying and flipping and all that kind of thing, and you're not keeping anything long-term, you're sort of okay. But for those of you that are, buying this card as an investment, okay, maybe it might be a bit of a unique experience or instance for this card, considering it's a black 1/1. It's going to be the best rookie card that this guy ever has that's officially licensed. Maybe it holds value irrespective of that. But, at the same time, it's just crazy to sit back and think, well, this same card could have gone in a BGS 9, and that would have been, a correct grade for the card based on the centering, and the premium wouldn't be there at all. The fact that you've got people being that stupid to pay that premium is crazy. And yes, this is nothing new, but I just thought this was a really good, talking point, the leaping point to touch on this topic once again. Like, why do we grade cards? We need to get back to the fact that we grade cards for the authentication, for the guarantee that these companies give us, for the reasoning that they're saying it's authentic, that it's genuine, to make, trading and dealing within this industry a lot easier, a lot smoother. We go to these companies because we trust them, right? They've built a name over the years. So we go to them because we trust them. Yet that trust is still set at the highest possible levels when they're, making mistakes like this. And whilst this is not the most egregious mistake that graders have made in recent times, it's a really good example of, the premium that you're going to see off the back of it. Because whilst I am personally in the camp of, the grade on a 1/1 does not matter at all, some people will pay that premium now because that 10's there, irrespective of that off-centering issue. And it's just, funny to me now, I'm repeating myself, where you've got people clapping back and saying, well, 60/40 fits. Well, I don't care if it fits within PSA standards. You know that card doesn't look as good as what it should be. So why is that grade there? And if you're that, comfortable with PSA doing that, it was like, why is that premium there for a 10? Should you be paying more attention to the card and see what other PSA 10s are actually out there that maybe shouldn't have been a 10? Because maybe there's a BGS 9.5 that looks better than that 10, and that then should have the premium. But it doesn't happen. People stop at the label and they completely, shoot themselves in the foot. So this was a mini rant today. I do apologize. This video will come out later than normal. I'm quickly recording it on a Sunday morning. Usually I have a video release early Sunday morning, like 4 a.m. It's like 11 a.m. at the moment. But my wife has had, food poisoning quite bad the last few days. So I'm a bit out of it, which is also why I haven't replied to a whole lot of comments in the last few days. I will catch up. So I do apologize for that. I want to do a quick thank you to everyone as well for emailing me about your card hobby issues. I will be sending an email to them in the coming days. So hopefully I can give you all an update, with some, responses on the cards that you've got sitting there for quite some time. So, as always, like I say, thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular Victor Wembanyama, but then also, why do we grade cards? Like if you're going to be sitting there paying a premium for something, surely you should be assessing the card and not just the flip at the top. So, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.